All right, so today we're going to talk about comparing and ordering rational numbers. So yesterday we just compared them, figured out which one was bigger out of the two, or smaller out of the two, or how it fit in the middle. Today we're actually going to kind of build on that. Let's just start. First of all, we're going from greatest to least. So there's a term that you guys are going to want to know for this. When we are going from greatest to least, we are descending. Descending. Think about going like down a mountain, right? You're descending down the mountain. So you're going from the highest altitude down to the lowest, right? You're descending down a mountain. A lot of you guys can probably look at this right away and be like, oh, decimals, right? So this is going to be our biggest one. Then this is our next biggest, and this is going to be our smallest. And you'd be correct. But to continue with what we talked about yesterday, since we're going to deal with a mixture of numbers, the way that they're presented, I'd like to go ahead and just put these in percent form. So I'll do the first one in Desmos. So we can just do 0.1209 and make sure you multiply that by 100. And you'll see that we get 12.09%. All right, also we could do the double dip method, right? And that will give you 21.09%. And double dip again. I'm going to kind of stay off the calculator a little bit today, just because it takes some extra time and we get a lot of stuff to go through. Same process though, when we look at these, we need to figure out what the biggest number is. Well, 21 is certainly bigger than 12. All right, so let's look at these 12s. So we have 12.19 and 12.09. So if I really want to focus in on this first number after the decimal, and you'll see that 12.1 is going to be bigger than 12.0 because 1 is bigger than 0. So it follows suit with what we already knew. All right, if we get lucky enough to have just percents, that's super dope. Well, let's talk about what we have here. We have least to greatest. Least to greatest is going to be ascending, right? Again, think like you're climbing up a mountain. You're ascending the mountain. You're starting at, sea level, which is 0, and you're climbing up a mountain, which will be, I don't know, I guess depends on the mountain, but tall. All right, these are already in percent. So we don't really have to do too much. Let's look for the smallest one. Well, we have a 1, we have a 15. Remember, there's a decimal here. And then we have a 0. So this 0 is going to be our smallest. 1 is certainly smaller than 15. All right, and again, I'm just looking at the numbers to the left of the decimal. And then we'll have 3 as our largest or greatest number, which is 15. All right, here's where it starts to get a little bit tricky. We're starting to get into fractions. So fractions and scientific numbers are y'all's kryptonite. And those are going to be the ones that are going to give us the most trouble. So we have least to greatest. So we are ascending. And I really hope I'm spelling that correctly. So let me pop Desmos open. And again, I'm just going to show you once. 3 divided by 4 gives us 0.75. Well, 0.75 is not a percent. When you go from fraction or scientific number to percent, there's 2 steps. You can do 3 divided by 4, hit enter, hit this answer button right here, not the bottom, middle right, and then just type 100 next to it, and it's multiplying, right? So that's going to give us 75%. So this one's going to be 75%. And you can check the rest of these in the calculator. 2/3 is going to be 67% after we round. And 4/9, I believe, is right, it's going to be 44% after we round to the nearest percent. And we're looking for the least. You guys are pretty good about this. 44 is smaller than 67 and 75. Good. 67 is our next largest, and 75 is going to be our greatest number. All right, greatest to least, again, just to remind you, this is descending. Descending. All right, so let's talk about these. In Desmos, I'm going to go ahead and put in my scientific number, which is 3.89 times 10 to the third. I hit enter. You can either type ANS, which will give you your answer, or hit that answer key I showed you down below, and make sure you're multiplying it by 100. Look at this giant number we get, right? 389,000. 389,000. All right, just another reminder, this first number right here, this 3,890, all we've done is taken our scientific number and turn it into a number. Another way to look at that number, right? So we have to remember that we are turning everything into percent. Like I said yesterday, consistency is key, not only in this section of math, but pretty much in life. So a lot going on here. All right, let's talk about 4.7 times 10 to the 2. So I'm going to have 4.7 if you want to do it by hand. And we have this 2, which means that we're going to go to the right 2 because the 2 is positive. So we're going to go to the right on a number line, and we're going to go over 1 and 2. And you're going to have 470. But that's not a percent. You still need to double dip. So we're still adding zeros here. All right, and that's going to be your final answer. 47,000%. And I do apologize for not having any percents. All right, again, double dip method, 2.5. See, we have a positive 3, so we're going to the right 3. So 1, 2, 3. We're not stopping here, though. We still have to double dip for percent. So we have 1, and fill in all your empty zeros, or your empty spots with zeros. So what you end up with is 250,000%. These are crazy large numbers. All right, and we're talking about greatest to least. So 389,000 is way bigger than 250 and 47 for sure. 250,000 is going to be our second largest, and the teacher salary is going to be our lowest. All right, so now we have to put all this stuff that we know together. All right, so let's just go ahead and just look at it. Again, least to greatest, so we're looking at ascending. So we're going to have 3.4%, 3/4, 75%. You guys can go back and look at the calculator tricks to double check. This is going to be 340%, and a little double dip there, 334%. Which one's our least? We've got 3.4. Second least, 34. 340,000 is going to be our biggest number. All right, place the following in order from greatest to least. Now we are descending. Descending. Ah, nice. One's already a percent. We like that. Give a little double dip here. It's going to be 4,520%. Let's see here. We would do a double dip and then another double dip. So we would have 45000, so 45,000, and 45 over 100 is just 45%. All right. So we're looking for our greatest, 45,000, definitely the biggest. Then 4,500. And this is where some of you guys might get a little confused. Which is larger, 45.2% or 45%? Well, if you look at a number line, right, and we have 45 here and 46 here, well, here we would have 45.5. So right here somewhere would be our 45.2, right? And that's definitely going to be larger than 45%. All right, so this is very similar to yesterday. First step, double dip. Let's just get all of our parameters in place. We want to know everything in percent. All right, so we double dip this 0.9 to make it a percent. And we know that we're looking for a number that falls in between 0.9 and 130%. So 90% and 130. That's what this X symbolizes. What number is going to fall in between? So let's just figure out what these are as percents. So this guy's 85% with our double dip. Here we actually go back 1 because this is negative. So you're going to go back 1. But because of double dipping, to make it a percent, we come back 1 and 2. And you actually end up with 91%. C is already a percent. And D, I actually do not know off the top of my head. I know that this calculator wasn't right. And that's going to be 12%. 12.5%. When you're doing a fraction, just don't forget, put the fraction in Desmos and still multiply the answer by 100. All right, so we're looking for numbers that fall between 90 and 130. 85 is definitely smaller than 90, so that's not going to be in between. 91 looks good, right? 91 is greater than 90, but less than 130. 110.9% is greater than 90, less than 130. And 12.5% is certainly less than 90. All right, we got another one of these guys. So let's look at it. Let's get our parameters set first. So if I go back one, because I have this -1 here, so I'm going back one, but because of double dipping, I'm coming back forward. So it's 51%. And I'm looking for all values, which are going to be represented by X, which could be A, B, C, or D, that are in between 51% and 82.5%. So let's look at this guy, go back one, but then I had to come forward, 1, 2. Remember that was because of this -1 here. So I get 51.4%. So you can see that A is definitely going to fit. 2/3 is 67%. We've seen that a couple times. That looks like that's going to fit. This one's already in percent. 153 is way bigger than the biggest part of our parameter, 82.5%. So C's out. And 4/5 is going to be 80%, which is just below 82.5%. So that's going to be a good answer as well. All right, now we get into, it's the same thing, but we're just looking for one number. All right, so which value of X satisfies the sentence below? All right, first thing you want to do is put your parameters in percent. So we know that a fourth is going to be 25%. All right, you do it in Desmos. 1/9 will be 11% when we round. 20% is already given to us. Double dip here, we get 80%, and they give us 90%. So they already gave us 2 in percents, which are nice. Good test taking ability. Before we even did any of our work, other than this 25% here, we know that 20 is less than 25, so B's out, and 90 is greater than 87, so D's out. So even without doing any real work, you already have a 50-50 shot. But we know that 11% is smaller than 25, and 80% is going to be our correct answer. So C. Yeah, no. All right, which of the following statements are true? So I caught a couple of y'all sleeping on this today. So when it says true, we're looking for the correct answer. All right, some of you were giving me the false answers because you just didn't read the question. Make sure we don't make those mistakes on the test. So here I can double dip. So what I actually have is 50% is greater than, and 3/4 would be 75%. And we know that's not true. Oh, already in percent, which is nice. And that's less than, give a little double dip here, which would be 40%. And we know that's not going to be true. 1/5, if you put it in the calculator, is 20%, and that's going to equal 20%. Again, go back to the beginning of the video if you need to see how the calculator tricks work. I might do another one towards the end. All right, and then 15%, that's very nice. And 3/5 is going to be 60%. Oops. 60%. And 15 is not greater than 60, but 20 is definitely equal to 20. All right, again, which of these are true? Don't let me catch y'all sleeping on this. All right, so this -1 means that we're going to pull our decimal back 1. So I'm going to go back 1, but because of double dipping, I still need to come back and then forward. So 80% is less than, well, 8/9 when I 8/9 when I forgot the word. Truncate is another good word for it. When I round is going to be 89%. So right away, A is looking like a good answer, but we're good math students. So let's go ahead and finish these out. This 3 here means I'm going to the right 3. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3. But don't forget to double dip. So it's still 1, 2 more. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. And that's going to be less than, again, this is right. 1, 2, 1, 2. And that looks like it's going to be 20,000. So B is not correct. I love it when they give us a percent already. All right, this -2 means that we're going to go to the left 2. So I'm going to go 1, 2. but I have to double dip. So I'm going to come back 1, 2. So that's saying that it's equal to 8.7%, which is not true. And I can double dip here, which would give me 14%. That's going to equal 7, 5, 11. That's 63 repeating. So that's going to give me 64%. And we know that's not true. All right, last two questions. So what I like to do when I get questions like these is I like to line them up. I'm going to have 14.2. I'm going to have 29 over 2. I'm going to have 1.25 times 10 to the 1. And I'm going to have 14. You know what? I will do these on the calculator for you. All right. And I want to see, what are these all as percents? What are these all going to be as percents? All right. So let's just do them all in the calculator. All right. Let's start off with a decimal. So if I have a decimal one stepper here, I just have to multiply it by 100. And I get 1,420. All right. And let's do my fraction. 29 divided by 2. Hit enter, hit your answer button, times by 100, and I get 1,450%. All right. Scientific number 1.25 times 10 to the 1. And I hit enter, hit my answer. Don't forget to multiply by 100, and I get 1,250%. And last but not least, this one's a little tricky because it's a mixed fraction. So you have to remember to add. So we're going to add our 4 divided by 9. So you really have to put that plus sign in there for this to work. Multiply that by 100, and I'm going to go ahead and round to the nearest percent. So it's 1,444%. So now we need to figure out ascending. So ascending is going to be from smallest to greatest. All right, so what's our smallest number here? Looks like it's 1,250%. So let's look down our line, 14.2. That is not our scientific number, so that's why A doesn't work. B looks like it could be an answer. C starts off with our fraction. That can't work. And D looks like it could be an answer. All right, let's back it up. What are we looking for next? Next smallest number, 1,420. All right, so we come to our second number in the list. Well, we know A is out. B, 14.2. All right, so that's looking pretty good. And we know C's out. D, nope, not looking for that fraction. So B would be our correct answer. And of course, you can check all of your numbers to make sure they're right, especially because you guys should love catching a teacher mistake. Make sure we didn't make any mistakes. All right, last but not least, we're going from greatest to least, which is descending. And I'm going to write my numbers out. I have 52%. I have 0.45. I have 3.1 times 10 to the 1. And I have 10 over 11. Well, lucky me, 52% is already done. I'm just going to double dip this decimal here and get 45%. Let's see, 10 to the 1 just moves this guy over once, but I still have to double dip for me to get it to a percent. So that's 3,100%. And 10 divided by 11 is 90 repeating. 0.90 times by 100. So I'm going to actually have 91% when I round to the percent. And we're looking for greatest to least or descending. So let's look for our biggest number and big time red flag, or big time, like just screaming at you. It's 3,100%. So let's look for our scientific number. A, first one's not our scientific number. B's looking pretty good. C, not our scientific number. And D, still good. So what is our next biggest number? And we have our fraction here, which is 10 over 11. So A's out, B's not our fraction as our second number, so you're out, and D's looking like it's the correct answer. And as always, you can always check all of your numbers to make sure that everything is correct. So I do apologize for the long video, but we did have a lot to get through. I'll see y'all tomorrow. If you have any questions, let me know.